I've said I'd make a video on how to tie these mop jigs. So basically, if you look up mop fly, there are lots of examples how you tie with these noodles from mops, mitten, dusters, all those sort of things. So for demonstration purposes, I'm using white thread, and I've got a size 1 jig hook in the vise with a 3-gram jig head on it. That works perfectly with my little BFS outfit. So you run the thread up the hook shank, trim off the excess. I've caught, this is a drop of Sally Hansen's varnish just to anchor everything down. I've caught pike and perch on these, no zander in my area. So the first job with these mop flies is you cut one off, and then you'll find that if you strip a little bit of the bottom of the end that you cut from the mop, there'll be a little core to it, a cotton core. So you just hold that cotton core on top or underneath, whichever way you look at it, because the jig is obviously going to fish upside down, and you tie that little cotton core in as best you can. So there's your little noodle to start with. Now the second part of this is you get your noodle, another noodle that you've cut off. You can experiment with different colours. I've bought these noodle mops and hand mitts from the pound shop and Halfords and all sorts of other places. If I see a cheap one, I buy it. So if you get the noodle and you strip a little bit off the bottom, so you've got the little bits of cotton, you'll find that if you pull them, the noodle separates. Tie in the cotton section again, but this time you have a much longer noodle length. Now a good way to do this is to get a pair of tweezers, put them on there. You'll find that if you spin it clockwise, it'll slightly unravel. So I'm going to put a bit more varnish on there. This helps hold the whole thing together. And then you just wrap that noodle in place. Now with a size 1 hook, one noodle isn't quite enough. But what you can do is, if you're a fly tyer and you have chenille or Fritz type wool that you'd use to tie things like lobs. Now what I'm going to try and do with this is build a bit more bulk at this end of the fly. Give it a bit of life. I'm doing a very basic one here. You can do all sorts of tricks with this. You can add a hackle. You can add Fritz. You can even tie what's known as a woolly bugger version. And then wrap over the top. Now, as I say, I'm trying to build a slightly tapered format to that. There we go. Just put a half hitch, as it's called, or a knot, to stop your thread coming undone. And there you have it.